I can honestly promise you that I will be reviewing these figures. Yes, that's right. You're back at it again with another NECA Ultimate Action Figure review. Today we're looking at the Ghostface Inferno. So, yeah. And I got both of these off of the Nerdzoic toy store. So if y'all want to get $5 off, you can use my code. Regardless, we're going to jump into this, and yes, I got two of them because I wanted to show off both of the looks, including the terrible Stab 8 look. Yeah, so either way, they're about the same height, so here they are compared with the previously looked at Ghostface, my first NECA horror figure, so there you go. And then here they are with Marvel Select Spider-Man, pretty cool stuff. And as far as how tall they actually are, we're going to say about 7¼ inches to the top of the head. With the hood, it kind of goes up a little bit. But yeah, about 7¼ inches. And that will translate to, let's say, if we can line it up, about 18½ centimeters. So there we go. And then for aesthetics, if we're talking just with the robe on, or, the cloak or whatever you want to call this, I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff. I mean, it is different from this one because with this one, it was just, one solid, robe, whereas with this, there are actually wires on either side to open it up, and of course, that makes it easier to take off. But there's also a robe, there's also a wire in the collar here. So you can kind of shape the collar however you would like. And then I might be wrong, but I think there's also a wire in the back of this hood here. I could be wrong about that, but I think that might also be the case. You can really shape this how you want. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's just a really simple design. Like I said, I like how the robe, you can kind of open it up and things like that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's really simple, straightforward. It's got kind of that same texture that the other one had, of it kind of is a little bit sparkly and all of that. It seems accurate. You do have the scallops on the bottom there, and then of course you do also have the sleeve things, whatever these things are supposed to be. So you get those, and then yeah. So if we're talking just with the robe on, that's about it. So yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. However, if we take the robe off, we see that you have this design. So you get a nice look at the bulletproof vest here. I like the details of having the bullet holes on there. So like this guy's been shot up and he's still going. And then we get some nice details like with the straps on the vest and all of that. And then you get, some of the same kind of details there. Not really much on the back, but I'm sure that's accurate to what an actual bulletproof vest looks like. And then we got these nice little jeans here. I like the details with kind of like, even though how this guy's not wearing a belt, you can kind of see where a belt would go. And then you got the nice details of like the wrinkles in the pants. And this looks like a nice pair of jeans. It's just I'm not personally one for jeans. I don't like wearing jeans. But yeah, so we've got these nice shoes here, these nice little dress shoes, very similar to these shoes here. It's just that they're darker, like these are more of a black, whereas these were more of a brown, so there we go. And then, yeah, I also like the detail of, like, the arms and the muscles that are kind of shown off there. And then the gloves, they have a nice little look to them, how they look kind of like they're leather or something similar to that. And we'll talk about the alternate masks and the alternate headpieces and all of that. We'll talk about that later. But for now, we'll go into the articulation. So the head can go up about that far, go down about that far. You can rotate it, you can swivel it and all of that. And by the way, the hood and the cape and all of that, that doesn't really get in much of the way. So I'm just going to look at this guy because it would, show off better. So you can rotate the arms all the way around. The arms can go up about that far. There's no bicep joint, but there is a single jointed elbow that gives you more than 90 degrees, so I think that's pretty good. They could do well to do more elbow joints like that. You do get a pivot there. You do get a swivel and a hinge for the wrist. And then for the torso torso, it only has one joint, and it can go back about that far, go forward about that far. You can rotate it, turn it, and all of that. For the legs, they can go forward about that far, back just a little bit, but I think that that is fair. You do have a little bit of a thigh swivel there. The legs can go out really far, so that's fun. Then you do get a single jointed knee, which gives you about 90 degrees. It's about what they normally do. You get a pivot there. And then for the ankles, they can go back just a little bit, they can go forward just a little bit, and they can pivot as well. So very straightforward stuff. And like I said, really the only thing that's hindered with if you have the robe-on is that the arms, they kind of feel a little bit more restricted, but it's still kind of the same thing. So there we go. Now let's talk accessories. So the big thing is, of course, this, which you can, the figure comes in the box with this on, but it's pretty easy to take off. What I found is if you take the head off, and then if you position the arms like this, it's pretty easy to slide off. So if you want to have it off, that's what I recommend. But yeah, so like I said, this is really straightforward. I kind of like the look of this, like, hanging up like that, kind of like a decoration, or kind of a thing of like, I am Ghostface, but I'm not in costume right now. I kind of like that. So there we go. We do get some alternate heads. So the one that comes on in the package is this one. And that's also the one that I have on that one there. So it's a really simple, just, basic hood design with, creepy looking eyes, because that's for putting one of these in. But yeah, so you get that one. And then you get this one here, which I gave to the Stab 8 one because it's more accurate to the scene from the movie that we see with the Dead Meat cameo. But yeah, so it's got kind of like these little tassels or drapes or whatever. And then it's also got kind of like a fold on the top there. So it kind of like arcs around like that. And then there's another one that also came with this one. It's the same kind of design as this one here, the only difference being that there's no fold at the top, which I'm sure is to accommodate for these horns here. And speaking of that, so we do have this look here that has these little devil horns, which is a reference to Dead by Daylight, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's one of the costumes that this guy has. So all of these, function the same way. You can, take it off and put it back on, and then that's a pretty straightforward process there. So there you go. You get a devil look if you want that. You get the chromed out silver mask from Stab. So there you go. If y'all want to go with the Stab look, you can do that. You do get a clean look, of course, which I think the clean look looks really good. That's the one that I have on that one. So yeah, it looks pretty good. And then you also get a worn, a weathered out one. So if you want to have kind of like a Scream 6 type thing, I'm pretty sure that's why they included this as a reference to Scream 6. So if you want to have like one of the old masks, I think that looks really cool. So there's that. So they come with, and because I got two of the same figure, of course, they both come with the same stuff. So there's that. Now let's talk hands. So there is a pretty simple gripping hand that they come with, and then there's also kind of they both come with gripping hands. So there we go. They both come with pretty simple gripping hands, and then they also have a trigger finger hand on the right side. So there you go. If you wanted to have a firearm, you could do that. And then you also get a relaxed hand on the left side. There is like a little bit of a pinch there, and I'm sure that's actually a reference to doing the famous Ghostface knife wipe thing. So I'm sure that's what that's for. But yeah, so there's that. And then you do also get two other gripping hands, which I'm sure are for particular accessories. So we'll get to those in a little bit, but what I found is that these accessories, or these hands here with kind of like the half gripping, half trigger finger hand, as you can kind of see, and then this, wider grip, I'm pretty sure that is for this flamethrower. And yeah, if y'all don't remember, in Scream 5, we see like a little snippet of Stab 8, which is a movie that's completely off the rails, and they decide to give the killer a flamethrower. So yeah, I think that's really cool that they actually bothered to include that. And there are two different pieces with this. This is what it looks like, just by itself. I do like the green detail, and then kind of like the black there. And then you get like a little bit of a handle, or I guess that's for like the gasoline or something. And then you get, nice little details of like the metal with the with the body and all of that. And then you do also get a flame accessory, which is kind of hard to fit on, but if you wiggle it around enough, it can get on there. I just really don't want to take it off because it took so long to put it on. But it's not too hard, it just takes a while. So what I found is that you can slide the handle in like that, and then you can take his other hand and then sort of grip the top, and then you get something like this. So if y'all want to have Ghostface with a flamethrower, y'all can definitely do that. So there we go. I think that looks kind of cool. But another thing that we see in that scene with Richie watching Stab 8 is there's a scene of this character walking around holding two of these. He's got these like two machetes, and they're really small compared to like a Jason Voorhees type machete, but they have a black handle and then like a gunmetal gray type blade there, and it's not particularly sharp. But I'm sure what you can do is, of course, have him holding onto them, you know, with these hands. So if you want to have him dual wielding these machetes, you can definitely do that. If you don't want to do that and you want to give him to another character, that is totally fine as well. I'm just saying, he comes with those. And then he does also come with, of course, the knife, the Buck 120, and it looks really good. I really like the shininess of it. I think it looks really nice, really accurate. And yeah, so he comes with that one. And then, of course, there is a bloody one as well, because why wouldn't there be? I feel like it would only make sense to have that. Then you do also have a voice changer here, so I think that looks pretty cool. I do like that they include this, even though we don't really see it being used in Scream 5, because in Scream 5 you have Amber in the hospital that just presses a button on the inside of the hood, and then you get like that red light, and then that kind of just changes the voice automatically. But yeah, I think it's cool that's still included. And then the last accessory to talk about, I guess, is this pitchfork. So yeah, if you want him to come with a pitchfork, I mean, this one came with a scythe, so if you want to have Ghostface do some farming, you could definitely do that. But yeah, so there we go, there's that. And then I guess one other last thing to talk about is they both come with one of these. And yeah, don't eat this, guys, come on, man, but I'm just saying, he comes with that. So there we go. So that's about it. Now let's talk about the box. I gotta say, I'm a really big fan of this box. I like the colors with that, with the black, and then this kind of like, I don't know what you would call it, like iridescent, like red, orangey color. It looks really cool. I like the Ghostface mask there. It says Ghostface Inferno on there. On the side, you get a nice product shot. On the back, you get some nice little shots of, you know, what you can do with the figure. And then there's that, and then you also get a little bit of a thing of what he comes with. So there we go. Get a similar picture on the other side. Nothing really on the top. There's the bottom. Shoutouts to all of these people. And then there is that, if that helps anyone. Like I said, I got this off of the Nerdzoic Toy Store. Y'all can definitely check that out. I highly recommend. There's another picture of Ghostface, and then you get kind of like this fiery background in the back. So there we go. I think that this figure is really cool, especially if you are a Scream fan like I am. I mean, that's my favorite movie series ever. It's not just my favorite horror series, so favorite movie series ever, so I feel like it's worth getting these. I don't know why it took me so long to get these, but I have them now, and I recommend. Like I said, they're really fun. I mean, you don't have to get two of them, but I think it would be kind of cool to have two of them just so you can have the Scream look and then the Stab look. I think that that's kind of cool, but regardless, that's about it. So if you like these figures, you like Stab, if for whatever reason you happen to like Stab 8, you think that's the best of the Stab movies, do be sure to leave a like. I definitely do not think Stab 8 is the best one. I prefer Stab 7, because I like the Inception, you know, intro. But regardless, if y'all want to see more content like this, you can definitely subscribe. Stay tuned. Check out my other NECA horror content. But other than all of that, I do hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that I'll see you all later. Goodbye.